Let me ask you something. When you see people walking through the business class line at the airport, you know, the ones getting whisked through security, faster immigration, and heading to the lounges, do you ever wonder who these people are? Like, are they all multi-millionaires? Do they just have money to print and burn? I used to think the same thing. For over a decade, I flew economy, watching those people and wondering what secret world or society they belong to. But here's what I discovered. Some of them are not paying full price. In fact, many are paying less than what you are paying for premium economy, and some are paying even less than an economy price. Just a few weeks ago, I paid only $770 for 3 first-class Qantas flights to Singapore worth $15,000. My name is Gagan, and over the last 11 years, I've flown over 100 business and first-class flights. If I would have paid full price for those flights, it would have cost somewhere between $400,000 to $500,000. But I did not pay full price. I paid up to 90% less. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. But first, let me tell you about the moment that changed everything for me. August 2nd, 2013. I still remember the date like it was my first kiss. I was flying Singapore Airlines from Melbourne to London, Heathrow, but this time something was different. You guessed it. I was in business class for the first time in my life. I had accidentally discovered that I had just enough points on my Westpac Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer credit card. I know it's a mouthful, but at the time Westpac used to have this card. It's not there anymore, but I had just enough points for a one-way ticket in business class. The experience was incredible. The flatbed, the service, the food, the lounges, the drinks, and almost double the luggage allowance. Everything about it was night and day compared to economy. All those people who have flown business for the first time, or if you can go back to that moment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, 3 weeks later, I had to fly back, and I didn't have enough points for the return journey. So there I was, again at Heathrow Airport, on a 13-hour flight from London to Singapore in economy. And I'm not ashamed to admit this, I literally cried. The contrast was so stark, so brutal, that I made a decision right there in that cramped economy seat, never again. I'm not doing it again. So when I landed in Melbourne, I reminded myself that I would figure out how to fly business class every single time. Not once in a while, every time. And from August 2014 onwards, I've never paid full price for business or first class again. Now, let me be clear. I did not figure this out overnight. I made plenty of mistakes along the way. For example, in my early days, I booked a Melbourne to London flight for 180,000 points when I could have done it for just 90,000 points. That's 100% more points than I needed to spend, basically throwing away $3,000 to $4,000 worth of value. Yes, it's important to realize the value of points. I also let points expire during COVID when there was a simple trick to keep them active, but I didn't know at the time. I was wasting points on hotel bookings. I spent 80,000 points on 2 hotel nights worth only $400 when those same points could have gotten me a $4,000 business class flight to Asia. Anyway, Singapore, Bali, Hong Kong, and so on. But here's what I learned. Most people think earning and using points is complicated, time-consuming, there is no reward seats, and they find it kind of a scam. They think you need to be a points nerd or spend hours with spreadsheets, which, by the way, is completely wrong. Let me share the most outrageous example of what's possible when you know what you're doing. Last August, I flew Emirates First Class from Singapore to Melbourne. The retail price was $6,000. I only paid $108. The $108 were just taxes. I used 107,700 Qantas points for this flight itself at the time. These are the points I'd earned organically using strategies I'm gonna share in a moment. The experience was incredible. I was the only person in first class. The crew treated me like royalty, especially after I gave them chocolates, which is something I always do as a thank you gesture. They bought all 16 dishes from the menu. Now, I didn't eat them, but just to showcase them to my YouTube audience, they were quite patient and nice. I had access to wines worth $3,000 a bottle, Dom Perignon, and unlimited caviar. Even the captain came out to thank me for the chocolates. So, how do I actually do it? There are 3 core strategies. Number 1, I've learned how to turn or convert everyday business expenses, even personal expenses, into points on steroids. If you're spending $10,000 a month on business expenses or more, technically you should not be paying full price for business class flights, potentially ever. Number 2, I use airline alliances strategically. There are 3 major alliances: Star Alliance, One World, and SkyTeam. Most people have heard of Star Alliance. Chances are you have too. Some know about the One World, but hardly anyone knows about the SkyTeam. When you understand how to use these alliances, you can book the same Singapore Airlines business class flight or seat for almost half the number of points by booking through a partner airline such as Air Canada instead of booking with Singapore Airlines directly. Third, I know when and how to book. Most people think you either book 11 months out or you're stuck with economy because you can't justify the price. That's not necessarily true. Airlines would rather put people in business class seats than fly with empty cabins. If you know where to look, you can find business class seats and availability even for families, sometimes even weeks out. However, when booking with points, flexibility is critical and the key. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds too good to be true. Last week, I had a client who was about to spend $10,000 cash on a Melbourne to San Francisco flight. I told him to wait a few days, and we helped him buy something he was going to purchase anyway. Something that generated enough points to book the same flight for $2,500. He saved $7,500 and got the item he needed anyway. That's a massive 75% discount. Most people would call that impossible, but it's not magic. It's just knowing how the system and strategy works. Now, at first, I will admit this was all about luxury, the champagne, the flatbeds, the lounges. It felt indulgent and I loved it. But over time, it became something very different. It became about freedom and lifestyle. We are living in the most technologically advanced period in history, yet stress levels are at an all-time high. If travel is adding to that stress, if you're arriving at your destination sleep-deprived and grumpy after 20 hours of what I call traveling in the fart machine, there is a better way. 2 weeks ago, I took my parents on their first class flight, something I never ever thought would be possible. It's not just about luxury anymore. It's about crafting experiences and memories without the financial stress. So, if you want to start flying business class for up to 90% less, here's what I want you to do today. Number 1, change your mindset. As simple as it sounds, stop thinking about points as a nice to have perk or a toy. Start treating them like the currency they actually are. Number 2, pick one program, one frequent flyer program, any program, Qantas, Velocity, Singapore Airlines. Pick one and start earning points consistently. Go deep on that one program rather than spreading yourself thin across multiple programs. Third, start paying attention to your everyday expenses, both personal and business. Your electricity bills, gas bills, and insurance payments, just to name a few, or maybe supplier payments, rent, BAS, PAYG, and so on. Points are absolutely everywhere. If you know the right strategies, these routine payments can generate a significant number of points for free, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands of points. The key is to start. In 1 year, if you commit to learning this properly, in terms of time investment, we're talking just 15-20 minutes a week, your entire perspective on travel will change. Look, I've been doing this for 11 years. I have saved between $400,000 and $500,000 in flight costs. I have turned knowledge into an art form, helping business owners do exactly the same thing and implement it like a plug-and-play system. But here's what I want you to understand. This is not about being super rich. This is not about having some special insider access. It's about understanding a system that's available to most Australian businesses, if not all. But most people never learn to use properly, sadly. So if you're a business owner spending $10,000 or more in Australia, you're already sitting on a gold mine. You just need to know how to access it. I've got clients who are spending between $10,000 a month to $10 million a month, and the system is working perfectly for them. The question isn't whether this works or not. I have proven it works over a decade with me, and there's plenty of proof on my YouTube channel and Google reviews. Feel free to check it out later. The question is, are you ready to stop paying full price for flights and start traveling the way you deserve to travel, or continue traveling in premium cabins but without paying full price? If you want to learn more about how I help business owners unlock the system and implement it in their lifestyle, check the link below in the description. And even if we never work together, start with those 3 steps I mentioned. Pick a program, change your mindset, and start earning points today with a strategy. Your future self, the one arriving on a holiday refreshed instead of exhausted, will thank you. I wish you all the best.